Hey y'all, it's Stacey with SouthernBite.com. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're making my sweet corn spoonbread. Now this is a dish that oftentimes shows up around Thanksgiving. It's a great complement to a Thanksgiving menu, but the reality is that it's great any time of the year, even with a summer barbecue. Let me show you how easy it is to make. We're gonna start, I've got 3 eggs here. Now, when we're cracking eggs, typically I do not recommend that you crack them on the edge of the bowl. Now, if you've done that your entire life, I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I am saying is that this edge will oftentimes force shell fragments up into your egg. So I typically recommend that you crack them on something flat to help prevent that. And then also you wanna make sure that you're putting your eggs in a separate dish, not on top of other ingredients, because if you happen to get shell fragment in there, it's a much easier process to get it out of a separate bowl than it is when you have all these other ingredients in there. In this case, we're starting with the eggs, so I can look and see, hey, there's no shell fragment in there. To this, I'm going to add 1 box of Jiffy corn mix. I've got 1 cup of sour cream. I've got a can of whole kernel corn. I've got a can of cream style corn. And I've got about a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Now, if you're the person, like I am, who melts their butter in the microwave, then you know that you often run the risk of having that explode in the microwave and having a mess to clean up. One thing that you can do, actually 2 things that you can do, is first is slice that butter into slices. That'll help prevent some of that explosion, and then use that butter wrapper on top of it in the microwave. That way, if it does explode, this is gonna mitigate some of that mess that you have there and make the cleanup a little bit easier. This is gonna go right in here. I'm using unsalted butter here just so that I can control the salt content, but I'm fixing to add some salt. I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. If you only have salted butter, it'll work just fine. You could omit some of the salt. Oftentimes I'll get questions about why do recipes call for unsalted butter, and it's really so that we can control the salt content, and because all brands of unsalted butter have different amounts of salt in them. So when we use unsalted, we kind of control how much salt is in our dish. Now the great thing about this dish is that it's pretty versatile. Once you have all this mixed together, you can kind of get creative with it. Whether you're adding some chopped jalapenos, a can of green chilies, maybe some bacon or some cheddar cheese, you can get creative and kind of add some flavor here. I've got a 2-quart baking dish that I've sprayed with a little non-stick cooking spray. And this is just gonna go right in here. Spread that out just a little bit. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. This is gonna bake for 30 to 40 minutes. Sometimes you might have to bake it just a little bit longer. The great thing too is that you can even double this recipe and bake it in a 9x13. In that case, 50 to 60 minutes is what it's gonna take to get that baked all the way through. I've got one already finished here. And it's as simple as that. You can even make this a day ahead and warm it back up to give yourself a head start. You can find this full easy recipe by heading over to the website at SouthernBite.com. There's a Simply Southern section right on the homepage, so you have easy access to all these great recipes. Y'all enjoy.
You may be wondering why it's called spoonbread. Well, Mary, I'm glad you asked. While cornbread can be sliced and eaten by hand, this dish actually has more of a pudding type texture, meaning you have to spoon the bread out of the pan to eat it.
Stacey has another version of this recipe on his website, but it's specifically designed for the slow cooker. And get this, Kevin, in addition to the sweet corn, it incorporates cheddar cheese and bacon.
You know, I don't think I've ever met a cheddar cheese and bacon dish that I didn't like. But I must say the original is delicious and it's quick and easy to make.
Thank you for joining us for Simply Southern today, but it's time for us to run.
We hope you'll join us at this same time next week and every week on this channel for more stories from Alabama's barnyards and back roads. I'm Kevin Worthington.
And I'm Mary Wilson. We'll see you next week.